Why aren't real estate prices dropping? The economy's on fire, 30 million lost jobs. Why are the home prices holding steady?
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Blood returning to my face. Kid you not though, why aren't home prices dropping? It's like the whole world is upside down. Curbed came out with this. They said the economy is tanking. Why aren't home prices dropping? And you know what? Enough of you have asked me that I decided to make a short video on this. After the outbreak of the pandemic, housing demand fell as buyers lost their jobs, part of their income, or simply didn't want to be shopping for a house in the middle of a viral outbreak. And basically, there's a lot of economic uncertainty. So today we're going to be talking about real estate. We're going to be talking about supply and demand. And at the end of this video, you're going to walk away like a real estate ninja, so much smarter on understanding where the hidden opportunities are. The only way for you to understand why the housing market hasn't dropped is if you really understand the basic economics behind supply and demand. Because all these news outlets are talking about it. Curbed, they basically talk about supply and demand and that things have stayed generally proportional. From Vox, same thing, supply and demand. It's dropped pretty much in tandem. And a lot of people hear those words, supply and demand, they're like, what are they really talking about? Today, I'm gonna break it down for you with these Legos.
Oh, man.
In fact, this blue stack represents supply and the red stack represents demand. And specifically, supply is in reference to how many homes are available in the market, right? But demand is how many people want homes. These are the two economic factors. So let's take a look at what happens when supply goes down and demand goes up. Well, if supply comes down, but demand stays up, here's what that means. It means we don't have enough houses and people want them, so the price goes up. But similarly, what happens if supply is up, but now demand comes down? Well, there's a ton of houses in the market, but not very many people want them, so the prices go down.
Down, 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 down.
What happens, however, if supply and demand are low, and then both of them proportionally go up? Well, basically the price stays steady. It's the same. Similarly, if supply goes down and demand goes down, the price stays proportional, just like what's happening right now. So what does this mean? It basically means people aren't buying, but people aren't selling. Wait a second, this doesn't make sense. Did the coronavirus all of a sudden stop supply and demand? Check this out. Freddie Mac basically came out and said, US housing market is missing how many? 3.3 million homes. Did you know that we have been experiencing a shortage for the last decade that we've been trying to catch up to? But all of a sudden, people again aren't there to actually buy these homes. Why? They're scared. They're holding on to their cash. Am I going to lose my job? Wait, I was part of the 30 plus million who did lose my job. And hence, people are just kind of on hold. It's almost kind of like a moratorium from life. Speaking of which, the government has placed a moratorium on foreclosures. Basically, they've told all banks, you're not allowed to foreclose on someone just because they can't make their payment, because we have a government-forced recession right now. Some of us have actually lost our constitutional ability to go out, earn money, etc. People are always assuming that if we're experiencing a recession, that real estate must be going down in value. You're wrong.
It's false. No way. Not this time.
Actually, let's go back and look at the last several recessions. In January 1980 to July 1980, GDP dropped 2.2%. We basically felt an economic hit, and yet real estate went up 4.5%. If we fast forward just a year later, between July of 81 to November of 82, GDP dropped another 2.7%. Real estate went up another 1.9%. However, in the 90s, we actually experienced the GDP dropping and home prices also went down. Sometimes they correlate, but not always. Again, in March of 2001, you guys remember that one? Home prices were shooting up 4.8%, but GDP was down 0.3%. And lastly, in December 2007 to June of 2009, we saw a massive torrential house drop of 13.9%, and GDP dropped a whopping 5.1%. In the last 5 recessions, 2 times there's been a correlation between the market down and real estate down, but 3 out of 5 times, as the market has dropped, real estate has come up on top. So what can you do about this? Well, if you're like most people, you're doing nothing. You're literally sitting at home, your life is on hold, you're experiencing your own moratorium, basically saying, I'm gonna wait for things to get better. But did you know that recessions are in fact the very best times to become a real estate investor, to actually buy homes and to get economically engaged? Right now there's a huge problem, and you know what? The government has their hand in creating it. You and I, we get to make a lot of money in actually cleaning it up. Check this out. This is something not a lot of people understand. This is a bell curve of the median home prices that people purchase. In other words, right now, look at this. This tallest sliver, that's a $150,000 home nationwide. This is the price range that most Americans buy. You have this sliver that's willing to buy a $100,000 home. Notice how much percentage of this curve is for a $200,000 house and below. I call that the median. Anytime you're buying something at $200,000, $220,000 and lower, you're playing in the largest market where you're going to find the most people that can afford real estate. Similarly, if we come all the way out here, look at how many people can afford a $750,000 home. It's a tiny, tiny slice. In fact, maybe I have a pixelation problem, but it doesn't look like anyone can buy a $700,000 home, right? And similarly, if we zoomed all the way out to $1 million home, a $5 million home, now we're talking about 0.00 small percentage of people that can actually buy that real estate. Look at you taking down these economic principles. Let me take you one step further. And then at the end of this video, if you want to actually have a free consultation with one of my wealth coaches, we'll actually customize a game plan and show you how to make your next $1 million in real estate. But first, check it out. You see real estate, what it does with time? That's right, it goes up in value. Since 1963, it's gone up over 4.5% year over year over year over year. But like I just shared earlier, sometimes it's going down in value and sometimes it's going up in value. The very best time to buy real estate is during a drop or when there's a moratorium and supply and demand are essentially at the same level. That's when the very best deals expose themselves. And check this one out. This comes straight from my book, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. It says that if you buy real estate below the medium and at least a 3-bedroom home, you're gonna pick up this awesome sweet spot of something I call cash flow. As in $500 a month on a house, $300 a month on the house. Bottom line is if I buy a house and after I take my rent money and I give it to the bank, whatever I have left, there might be $300 left over, $500 left over, $600 left over. And if you're making an extra $500 per house, how many houses do you need to achieve your financial freedom? You see what I mean? This kind of economy is the time for you to be thinking, don't wait and stay put. It's time for me to get my butt in gear and actually start doing something and creating wealth. And if you're not exactly sure how to do that, there's a link below where you can actually connect with one of my highly trained team members. I spend time with them on a weekly basis and I teach them how to build wealth plans for every person in every financial situation. I started off deeply in debt. I didn't have credit established. I was a college kid. I was young. People told me I couldn't do it. I make game plans for people in that situation. I also have other people that feel behind the 8 ball. They're feeling old and that they haven't been smart about investing and they don't have money. Or other people have been trusting in society's game plan, 401k'ing, IRAing, maybe even working on paying off your house because you're a Dave Ramseyite.
It's stupid.
If you're in any of those situations, there's a way for you to make your next $1 million, and that's why I've trained my wealth coaches to give you a free game plan. All you got to do is click the link below, and we'll show you how to take all of this economic information and literally turn this economy into the best of times for you.
As you can see, when supply and demand meets the coefficient of the 1.5 or 9er Victor Vector, then basically it'll help you make money in real estate.
Guys, thank you so much for watching today. Make sure that you subscribe. I've got more videos coming your way, awakening your financial genius. We'll see you next time.